Hi there, I'm Nancy Herring from Now We're Cooking. It's Tuesday and it's time for tips, tricks, and treats. Today we're making something called Sailor Jacks. I learned that it's either named, the origin either is from a restaurant in the Pacific Northwest from years ago, or from sailors in the Pacific Northwest, or even that the character on the Cracker Jack box is named Sailor Jack. But what they really are is a molassesy, gingery muffin, and oh my gosh, they're just yummy. So they're not hard, there's just a lot of steps. So what I have done so far is I have creamed together 1.5 cups of brown sugar and a stick of butter. And then I added 3 eggs one at a time. And I still need to make sure everything is well incorporated. The eggs and the butter will do much better if they're at room temperature before you put them in. So see what you can do about that. So this is a very basic, that part of the batter is very basic. Now what goes in on top of that is buttermilk and molasses. And what I'm going to do with my molasses, there's a couple of things. I put out some of the push-up cups that we sell. If you're doing something particularly sticky like peanut butter or molasses, you can use one of those. What I'm going to do is just spray my measure cup, pour my molasses in there, and by spraying it will help it not stick as much. So molasses is the first wintry deliciousness on top of the brown sugar. So that's going in, and then buttermilk. I don't usually buy buttermilk. If you put some vinegar in your milk, about a teaspoon of vinegar in with your milk and let it sit, that gives you the effect of buttermilk. So, because I don't use enough buttermilk to use it. So those 2 things are going in. Now, in this bowl, now it's starting to look kind of gingerbreadish. I'll show you in a minute. In this bowl, I have 2 cups of flour. I have baking soda, baking powder, salt, and cocoa powder. I don't often sift, but I haven't used this cocoa powder in a while, so I did sift it, and I just used a strainer like this one to sift, and I did have little nubbins, which I dumped out, so that helped. Now there's an incredible amount of spices in here. So, and we're talking tablespoons of some, teaspoons of some. So I need a tablespoon of ground cloves. These are really neat measure spoons that are designed to go into spice jars. I need a tablespoon and a half of cinnamon, and I'm not being as exact as I should because it's all going to be deliciousness. So there's my cinnamon. I need a half a teaspoon of nutmeg, and I am going to, do you see what I did with my nutmeg? Is it sitting right in front of me? I got out a nut from the nutmeg, but I put it in a very clever spot, so I'm getting another one. This is one of those uses for your microplane grater. You just hold on and grate. It says about a half a teaspoon. I'm just gonna do. It smells so delicious and it's so easy with a microplane grater. 2 teaspoons of allspice. Allspice does not mean every spice rolled up. It is an actual item. It's one of the things that goes in a lot of fall and Christmas baking. And then the last thing is a teaspoon of ginger, ground ginger. So that's a whole lot of spices. And I need to stir up my dry ingredients just a little bit to incorporate them. Then I'm gonna add that to the mixture that I already have, the molasses. And honestly, I'll show you what that looks like. It looks almost curdled right now. I just want to get this a little bit incorporated before I start adding it. Give things a chance to blend better. So, let me turn this on a minute more and then I'll show you. Can you see it almost looks curdled? But that's okay. And I'm going to stir through it with my scraper, and I'm actually going to turn the mixture on another little bit with this, and then I'll add the dry ingredients. Oh, there's the nutmeg that I lost. Alrighty. So now I'm going to put, not all at once because I don't want to make a huge, and see not everything's blended. That's all right. Trying to get that. And now it's starting to look chocolate. It smells like gingerbread, but it looks like chocolate. So I'm going to put the rest in. Getting a little bit thicker, and I do want to stop and scrape down the sides, but it looks much more like a batter and not the curdledy mixture we were looking at a minute ago. Now the last part just made me laugh. It calls for hot water and raisins. Well, what they don't say, and what I did do, is it's a cup of raisins and a cup of water, and it just says hot water. I boiled, here, can you see? I boiled my water, put my raisins in a bowl, and they've been sitting. And I'm gonna put the whole kit and caboodle in here, the water, the raisins, everything. And when I did it earlier, I'm like, whoa, that sounds a little different, but it worked. So raisins and water at the end of the recipe. I'm going to turn this low because I don't want anything to splash out. And you want it till it's just, oh, it calls for pepper, which I forgot. It calls for white pepper. I didn't have any white pepper, but the mixture is dark enough that dark pepper will not impact it. I'm going to do is make sure everything is incorporated. And this looks to me exactly like chocolate cake batter. But then when you taste it, it's like, no, that's not chocolate at all. I am going to use my finger. I'm going to scrape everything in. It makes about 24 muffins. And the other thing that I did, because I live in great fear of things sticking into the pan and not coming out, and one of the other different things about this recipe is that you turn it upside down. When the muffins come out, you turn them upside down. So that, especially, that's why you don't want to use muffin papers, because we're going to glaze, the last step is to glaze them. Let me just stir. Doesn't that look like chocolate cake batter? But it's not, and it smells so gingerbread and fallish. And somebody said it smelled like Christmas in here today. When I do my muffin pans, I sprayed them, and I stuck them in the freezer. And the reason I do that is it gives the oil a fighting chance to stay on the sides of the pan, to help keep things from sticking. And I like to use the largest ice cream scooper that we have. They're referred to as cookie scoops. They have a number somewhere on them, and I'm not sure where it is. But this pretty much fills, I'm not doing it super exact, but a generous scoop fills the muffin pan. So that's the easiest way to me to get them somewhat uniform. I've got 2 pans. You're gonna watch me scoop a bit, and I'm gonna throw them in the oven. They bake for about 20 minutes, or until a toothpick in the center comes out clean. And the ones I did earlier, it only took about 17 or 18 minutes. So when you do something like this, set the timer, but don't don't go in the other room and wait for your phone to buzz for you, because part of it is the smell and part of it is looking at it. So you don't want to be too far away because they can be done sooner. So I'm going to throw one in, get the other pan, and then I'll show you the finished. These are two different brands of muffin pans, which is why they look different, but they are standard size. They're jumbo, they're mini, and they're standard, and every company's look a little bit different. To me, this was too rich of a batter to go in a jumbo. If it was in a jumbo, I'd want to split it with somebody, because they're delicious but very, very rich. And the minis, it would work. You'd end up with a lot of miniatures. So I think this is going to be like earlier. I ended up with more batter, and I think I'm gonna put a little bit more in some of these cups. But what I did with the extras is it wasn't even a muffin pan. I had a small loaf pan, and I just put the extra in there, and we all tested it. So that was how we decided. So I don't want to overfill these because I don't want them to come up, and I have just enough batter to probably fill like a ramekin or something, but I'm not going to force it into these. And that oftentimes the recipe will say it. Actually, it's not true. There's one that's a little lonesome. A lot of times the recipe will say it makes a certain number. It may not. So don't worry about that. And anything that I spilled right there, I'm going to get that up. So they're going in. So about 20 minutes. So you will not be watching me 20 minutes from now. So it made a ton. What you do is you turn them upside down. So what you're looking at are the bottoms are now the tops. The glaze is powdered sugar, water, and vanilla. And I did sift my powdered sugar because I was on a sifting frenzy, and I still got a few little lumps. So I should have probably stirred it harder when I was blending the powdered sugar and the water, but no one had anything to say about that. Everybody loved them. So they're called Sailor Jacks. They'll last a long time if you keep them in the fridge. And what you get inside is this delicious little cakelet with raisins. It's very gingerbreadish, but easier than gingerbread. Now I'm actually going to have a little bite. Very moist. All those spices that we put in, nothing overpowers the rest of them. It's not like, gee, there's too much ginger or too much cloves. It all balances really, really well. So the only thing you might not have are some of the spices, but if you make pumpkin pies, if you make those kind of cookies at Christmas time, you might want to have them on hand. So give Sailor Jacks a try. If you don't have muffin pans, if you don't have a microplane, if you don't have a cookie scoop, we can help you out with those things. Now We're Cooking is open Monday through Saturday from 11 to 4, and on Fridays, for the first 3 Fridays of October, we will be open until 6. And on Friday afternoons, we will have gadget hour, and we'll be demonstrating some gadgets and let you come in and shop until 6. So 11 to 4, Monday through Saturday, till 6 on Friday. We'd love to have you stop by. We're at Paseo in Wyoming. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time, and try some Sailor Jacks. Bye now.